All right, we're going to roll right into our post-race for tonight's 13th annual Subway Firecracker 250 NASCAR Nationwide Series race here at Daytona International Speedway. And our third place finisher and our top Sunoco Rookie of the Year, and also a now qualifier for the first Dash for Cash race sponsored by Nationwide next week at New Hampshire Speedway, and with a career best finish in the Nationwide Series. Let's welcome the driver of the number 39, Ryan Sieg. And he drove the pull-apart used auto parts Chevrolet. And congratulations, Ryan, coming in that third place finish. Maybe just talk about how things went. Talk about being eligible for the Dash for Cash and just the race in general, if you would, please.
It was a win for us, our team, for especially finishing third. It was a really big deal, and it's awesome to come back to Daytona and get my career best finish.
Thank you. And our race runner-up, and just getting nipped there at the buzzer, Regan Smith, driving the number 7 Goodies Chevrolet. You did take over the points lead, got a 12-point lead now for in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, and you also qualified for the Dash for Cash race that we'll have at New Hampshire next week. And so just talk about there at the end. I know you was in a position to win the race, and sometimes these things happen at restrictor plate races. But
is that what that was a position to win the race?
I'd say you was leading the race.
Yeah, it felt pretty good, and then all of a sudden it felt pretty bad.
Yeah. Talk about what happened, and just like you said, you had it, and all of a sudden you didn't. So that's got to be tough.
Yeah, I mean, we had the restart we wanted to get, and came off a 2, and I cleared everybody, and they got 3 wide and kind of got choked up, and I was trying to just give a little bit of air to all 3 lanes to keep I really wanted to keep them all side by side if I could, and they got double file in the middle of 3, and I looked up and I still thought we were okay, and for whatever reason a lot of big runs were coming off the corner tonight. Even my car was the same way. The only place that it really felt like it had good runs was off the corner when I was working the outside early on, so I figured there'd be a little bit of a run coming, and went up to block the 42. He went more to the middle of the racetrack and went up to block him a little bit, but didn't want to give him the bottom either because I was afraid he was going to try and swoop back down and get all the way to the inside of me. And in the process of getting kind of bogged down with him, the 5 he got a huge run on the outside, and he came to the line and he was able to nip us there. So it's it's kind of bittersweet. I'm disappointed for the 7 team. I'm disappointed for my guys. And selfishly, I'm disappointed, but for Junior Motorsports, I'm happy. 1-2 finish is great. The 9 car was strong all night. I don't know what happened to him, but it's kind of a weird mix of emotions right now of happy for the company and frustrated for the 7 team.
Okay, we'll take questions now for either Regan or Ryan. If you have one, raise your hand. We'll go to Chris Knight and then Bob Pockris.
ChrisKnightCatchers.com. Ryan, can you talk about what this does for your RSS team? You guys made the decision to switch from full-time trucks nationwide just after a couple of races. After you guys started running a couple of races, what does this do for you guys? You guys picked up some sponsorship, too, for this race last minute.
Hopefully it'll bring some more sponsors. We have sponsors that come on here and there, and it'd be nice to have a full-time sponsor because we're running full-time in the Nationwide, and hopefully we turn some eyes.
Other questions? Go ahead, Bob.
Bob Pockris, Sporting News. Regan, you kind of made a points be damned decision there by not pitting at the end. I mean, how tough is it to make that decision to kind of go for the win instead of thinking big picture?
It was pretty easy for me. I didn't have the numbers in front of me. I asked Ryan. I saw him after the race, and he said he went through about 6 Goodies powders and a bottle of whatever kills your stomach from being in a knot. So I don't know what that is, but he went through a lot of that stuff. It's the only play we had. You had to be out front. It was real difficult to get the outside line to get any momentum and to work its way up there. So, our car out front just had a lot of strength. I noticed in practice that guys really couldn't get that much of a run on us when we were up there. But when we were, mixing it up in the pack, it wasn't quite as strong coming through as it needed to be. And I don't know if that was the case for everybody or just us, but, up front it had all the speed that it needed and it was good. So, it wasn't a tough decision for me. I was sitting in the car.
Let's go over here to Stan, and we'll go to Ken Willis.
Stan Creekmore with RPMTonight.com, and the question in a little bit different way is actually for both of you. Ryan, what do you think is the biggest thing you learned tonight, and does any of what you learned transfer to Iowa Speedway and other tracks like that? And Regan, given that finish, does that make you look at any other super speedway differently?
No, it doesn't relate to Iowa. I mean, it's good for the team and good morale, but no, it doesn't do anything for Iowa. But repeat.
Does it help you at Iowa? No.
Regan.
I don't even remember what you asked me. What'd you ask me?
That final lap, do you think
Oh, nah. I mean,
I'll never do that again type situation?
not really. I mean, I don't know what I would have done differently. I got to watch the tape and study it and just understand it a little bit better. But based on what I saw in my mirror, I couldn't. There was a point where I couldn't tell if they were 2 or 3 wide when they were getting the run off of 4. I had a little blind corner there, and I knew I had kind of got up in front of the 42, but I didn't want to get turned either. Right there, that's it's not really the ideal situation. So I'll watch the tape. I'm sure I'll beat myself up until about 2 o'clock tonight and say, damn, I should have done this, or damn, I should have done that, and we'll move on. It's fun when you're disappointed with second. It's tough when you can see the line and you can't finish it, and that's just how it goes sometimes on the plate track. So I'll answer a little bit of Ryan's question too. What he's been doing all year long has been, a lot of people have been noticing him, and he's been doing a great job. I tore the heck out of one of his race cars 2 weeks ago, and I felt terrible about it, and told him if I could help him tonight I would, and unfortunately I didn't get to, but he did it on his own, so that was pretty good.
Yes, Chris. Let's go to Ken Willis, and then Chris, and then Seth.
Hey, Regan, when you're in that situation and you're coming to the line like that, can you tell who finishes? 2 questions. First, can you tell whether or not you were first or second, or is it just too close? And secondly, we know you guys aren't, like the rest of us, and you think differently and go about your business differently, but a normal civilian like us, given the situation you were in tonight and what happened here a year and a half ago, how does that not get in your mind, even sneak into your mind when you're coming down and holding back all that traffic on the last lap?
It just doesn't. I don't know how to describe it. Trust me, for the better part of a year, I thought about that. And definitely was hating that situation that it happened the way that it did. And unfortunately, we're race car drivers, and we want to win races, and we want to go fast, and we want to do all those things. We want to be up front, and it really is the furthest thing from your mind when you're 2 or 3 wide and cars are about an inch apart from each other. You're just you're trying not to make a mistake more than anything, and you're trying to position yourself where you need to, and get to the end of the race. I couldn't. I knew there was a red car kind of on my quarter panel. I didn't even know who was it, the 16 that got up behind me at some point there. Yeah, I knew there was a red car on my quarter panel, and thought I had kind of blocked him off, like I said. And after that, I didn't even know the 5 had a run until we were past the start-finish line already. And I kind of knew he had so much momentum when he went past me. I kind of figured he nipped us, and I looked up I had enough time to look at the pylon real quick, and it had already adjusted itself. So, I knew right there, and that's good. It's better to know immediately than it is to think you won and have to wait and then find out like 20 minutes later or 10 minutes later or whatever. Like, it's better to know immediately. It's maybe 100 yards, something like that. It wasn't very far. It was far enough where I could still see it out of my peripheral. I had enough time to see the 5 and think, oh, crap, I think he passed me. And then I looked and saw the board. So
let's go to Chris, and then we'll finish with Seth. Seth and Kelly.
Chris Knight again. Ryan, Regan, can you guys talk about the Nationwide Dash for Cash? It's a next week in New Hampshire, night and day difference between the track. Regan, obviously you're the favorite going into the race, but Ryan's been running pretty strong here. Just going to get you guys' thoughts on the Dash for Cash.
It's definitely going to be a tough one for us. I haven't run Nationwide in New Hampshire, and I've run the truck, and we've run okay, but it's going to be tough. But we're getting better and better each week. Cowboys learning about the cars every week. I'm learning, you know what I mean, getting better. So, yeah, well, it should be pretty good.
It's going to be new for me. I don't think we were part of any of them last year. They were like this 4-week stretch. We followed up a stretch at Road America in Kentucky with this 4-week stretch, and it was, a relatively miserable one for us. So, I like New Hampshire. It's a track that I look forward to going to. Just happy to be a part of it and happy to have a series sponsor like Nationwide Insurance that does the things that they do. And for the 4 cars, myself and Ryan included in that, we're going to get to go out there and get a little extra attention and race for some extra money. And, for any of those 4 teams, that's going to be a cool deal. I don't know exactly who's in it. I was trying to look real quick, but it's, it shows the commitment that Nationwide has to this series and what the series means to them.
Seth, and then finish with Kelly.
Seth Livingstone, NASCAR News Service. Ryan, before the last 2 restarts, what did you think you actually had tonight? And also, as you're coming to the line, at what point do you realize that, hey, the guy I'm pushing is going to win this thing?
It was crazy. I just knew from one of the restarts before that Casey talked to his spotter and told me to push hard. You know what I mean? That's all I did the whole time because I was right behind him and I never got off his rear bumper and just stayed right tucked up behind him and I knew we were in line to get probably top 5, top 15. You know what I mean? On the last 2, and then just worked out and got in the right line and everybody kind of got shuffled around and I just kept pushing the 5 and he got clear and I just pushed him a little harder right there at the end and somebody gave me a push and then I pushed him extremely hard right before the line.
It's amazing at the end of these races. We hit each other all race long, and every time somebody touches you in the middle of the corner, you're like, oh, man, don't do that right now. It feels like the car's dancing around. Then we get out there at the end, and we just blast the back bumpers off of each other, and we somehow make it back to the stripe. I don't know how we do it sometimes. But these past 3 races we've been able to. It's been cool.
Yeah, I was definitely pushing the 5 through the corner also, but he was not squirrely or nothing, so I kept going.
Kelly?
Kelly Crandall with Popular Speed. First for Ryan, just curious what the team reaction was coming back to pit road and hearing about the Dash for Cash.
Oh, they were excited, extremely excited. They were all yelling on the radio, you know what I mean? It was awesome for all of our guys, and they just couldn't, it was great, you know what I mean? They were just as excited as I was, but it was awesome.
And for Regan, you haven't finished worse than 8th between Daytona and Talladega the last 2 years. Have you developed any sense of being the guy to beat when you come to the plate tracks recently?
No, not at all. Because every one of these is different, and every one of them feels different. And I've just been fortunate to be in fast race cars, and that's what it amounts to. I enjoy the draft. I don't mind it. Some guys come here and say, "Oh, I hate it. There's too much out of our control." Well, you know what? There's a lot in our control too. We can do a lot of things right to position our car. And to get in the right spot when the time is right. So I take a little different mental approach to it, and it's a situation where I've been in fast race cars and fortunate for that. So.
Final question back here, Bob.
Bob Parker, Sporting News. Ryan, obviously there's a no tandem rule, but yet you talk about pushing. I mean, did you just do you feel like you left enough room not to get called, or are you like, man, it's the last lap, you just do what you can and see what happens?
I would just do what you got to do, you know what I mean? I did back off a little bit, but I just stayed right there, and you know what I mean? I was, you know what I mean? There was a couple of times there was iffy, but I bumped draft most of the time.
Okay. Congratulations, Regan, Ryan. Good luck next week at New Hampshire.
Thank you, guys.